right, we are live Monday, October 5th. You guys can't hear us on the Instagram live, but Matias just ripped a nice burp right into the microphone. Like, just shook my brain loose a little bit. It was great. That's how we like to start the show off. Got a lot to get to, man. Another busy week. 5 straight days of playoff baseball.
Get the mailbag?
Yeah, I threw a little mailbag in there.
Okay.
I was waiting on you to get in the stream, bro. There we go.
Hey, yo.
Here we go.
What's going on?
Oh, crack the back out, repping the Jayhawks a little bit.
Ripping the boys.
Jug. I was about to wear my Cordica sweatshirt, but it's like too hot in my room for that.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet. We're at like sweatshirt no hood season right now. Sweatshirt no hood. No, hey, you can always go with the hood, but we're at like sweatshirt no hood. I like sweatshirt no hood and like shorts still.
Yeah, I mean it's like 50 something here today, I think.
Yeah, I think it's still a little hotter here.
All right, look, we didn't come here to talk about the weather.
We came here to talk about sports, second floor sports specifically. Ben Carlton, Matias Weilmann, all the action. Monday, 4:02 p.m. We've been really consistent on the days we've been recording. I'm really proud of us, actually.
Yeah, hey, we stuck to the schedule. This is going to be like episode like 15, 16 for us, probably.
Pretty solid. We've never made it this far. This is like
except for the whole year we ran our show on VIC, but
but those were disastrous episodes.
They weren't awful.
They weren't bad. They weren't bad, but they were, outside of the actual content we produced, it was disastrous.
Though we did, I wish when I was trying to when you were trying to come up for the intro for this show, I was trying to see if I could find the audio of us talking about ghosts.
Oh yeah,
that was in our audio. That was in our intro. I think our last year on VIC, that was in our intro.
Yeah, we got to be careful though, because we tried to go that route of half sports, half just babbling the whole time. But the problem is we're so bad at staying on topic sometimes that if we just half babble, we're going to full babble.
Well, the other issue is we're just not third string.
Yeah, that's true.
We're just not third string.
The legend third string sports?
No, just third string.
Just third string.
I think it was I feel like there was something else. It wasn't third string sports. I think it was just third string was the name of the show.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're talking about, what we're saying, don't worry about it. There are a few people who know, and they're the ones that matter. Sorry about it, guys.
We had a really exciting weekend of sports. As always, you can watch all of our previous episodes or listen to them. You can catch it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your shows. You can listen to it on Anchor as well. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, we have all of our interviews and all of our shows posted last week. We got to interview Dan Doherty from Cage Side Press. That was a really good interview, UFC-wise. It was a good card this weekend.
I was going to say, I was watching with the friend of the pod, Stratton Javanos, and it was a very entertaining card.
Entertaining, but like we talked about last week, it's just unfortunate. There's just so much going on right now that, I watched college football on Saturday.
I probably have not watched more than 10 minutes of college football this season.
I was pretty checked out on Saturday night. I had 2 late games.
To be completely honest, half of that is probably watching the one D3 game that's been played this season. I checked it was
I didn't watch.
Versus Trine, I think.
Yeah.
I watched 5 minutes of the stream just to bring me back.
Okay. Bring you back to the glory days.
Yeah. But let's talk a little NFL to start things off. Obviously, getting into the Major League Baseball playoffs, getting into the NBA Finals. We were looking at this rundown, and we have a lot to get to. Going an hour and a half today. I mean, if we're not leading with the Browns-Cowboys game, what else are we starting with? Game of the week, obviously.
Oh, for sure. Seahawks-Dolphins.
You think Seahawks-Dolphins was game of the week? Interesting.
No.
Interesting.
We should lead with Thursday Night Football. That was a terrible game.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Are you being serious, or do you actually want me to go on the Thursday Night Football rant again?
No, I don't think there needs to be any time spent talking about Broncos-Jets.
Nope.
It wasn't going to be a good matchup. We're lucky that each team scored more than 15 points. Hey,
low-key, it was a better game than Giants-Rams. Pretty
good. Yeah, that was a terrible game.
Ugly.
Good game next Thursday night, though.
Who is it?
Bucks-Bears.
That actually,
3-1 teams. That's
two very different 3-1 teams.
Yeah, that's not good 3-1 teams, but the Bucks could be good.
I was looking at the standings to like figure out power rankings and stuff. I was thinking about an interesting matchup. Who would win, or who's the better team? Not necessarily who would win, but who's the better team in a Bears-Cowboys game? Bears 3-1, Cowboys 1-3.
Cowboys.
It's weird though.
Yeah. Although I don't know.
Are the Cowboys the better team though? Like,
yeah, the Cowboys defense is so bad that I think even the Bears can figure it out. I mean,
Bears with Nick Foles, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't look good yesterday. I mean, the Colts have a good defense, but they did not look good yesterday. They had 3 points, the whole game. Let's start with Browns Dallas.
Let's stick on one game here. I mean,
I picked Dallas before to win.
I just don't even looking back on the game, watching the highlights again. I watched almost the whole game.
Yeah.
I didn't even have Red Zone on. I was watching with Josh, obviously, huge friend of the pod, huge Browns fan. Had to do him that service.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oh my God, the first 3 quarters of the game, the Browns looked like the best team in the league.
Yeah, that first half was probably the best.
First 3 quarters, man. The Cowboys scored 24 unanswered.
24 unanswered in the fourth. Yeah.
Running the ball with no Nick Chubb either. Nick Chubb went down. Yeah. That is lots of jokes being made about why you shouldn't pick a running back early in the draft, because if your second round talent running back can go out in the second quarter,
mm-hmm.
and then run for I don't know why I didn't write the actual total down, but 250 plus yards, I think, on the ground for the Browns.
Yeah, it was Kareem Hunt and then whoever filled in behind him.
We're actually new favorite player in the league, D'Ernest Johnson, the Browns backup running back.
Why is D'Ernest Johnson your favorite?
His
player?
name's D'Ernest. You think
he really
deserved some playing time last week?
Mine is easily Tyus Bowser, linebacker or D end for the Ravens. His last name is Bowser. It's
no DeBrickashaw Ferguson.
Yeah,
former Jets offensive lineman. That might be the best name in the NFL.
No one's ever gonna top that. I mean, that's why you signed Kareem Hunt. And I mean, they got him on a bargain deal. They're still only paying him like $6 or $7 million a year, I think, is that new deal he signed. And I think it was a 2-year, $12 million deal.
But on paper too, it just seems like such a perfect fit with Nick Chubb is kind of you're more no disrespect to Nick Chubb, he's more than just a power back or just
mm-hmm.
a bruiser. He's one of the best running backs in the league, but obviously he's more of a pure runner, whereas Kareem Hunt can factor in a lot more in the passing game. With Chubb out, I don't think I haven't seen any real timetable for his return yet. I mean, he was able to walk off the field.
On the IR. He went on the IR.
I don't even saw that actually.
I don't know if it's the 3-week or the 6-week.
I must have missed that.
But because of this season they changed it, and you can come off the IR in the first 3 weeks. But
clearly it didn't impact the Browns' running game. I mean, we'll get into this mailbag question later. Someone was asking if we thought that Nick Chubb was going to be a big loss for the Browns. I mean, does Dallas have the worst defense in the league? Yeah, probably. But they just ran the crap out of the ball. No problem without Nick Chubb.
Awful.
And it's you look at a team like the Rams, who lost Todd Gurley, but their running game is back, if not better than it was when they had MVP level Todd Gurley. It's about scheme. It's about scheme. And it's about O-line more than it is about individual talent at the running back position.
Well, I think that's just the tough part about the value of the value of a running back. There's a reason that you didn't want to take Saquon Barkley.
There's a reason I wish we hadn't taken Saquon second overall. I mean, throw the injuries out the window. Dude sprained his ankle, which happens, and then tore his ACL. You can't bank on that happening. It's trust me, I've done plenty of second guessing my fantasy strategy, taking Saquon second overall. But then it's
there's no second.
There's no second guessing it. I would have done the same thing 10 times out of 10.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Legitimately, I don't think there's any other player I would have taken. Hindsight 2020, maybe Dalvin. I don't. But he had the contract issue.
But no one. Yeah, but no.
Exactly.
Yeah, you didn't know. You didn't know. And Alvin Kamara had the contract issue too at first. So what are you going to take? Mike Thomas at 5? I could take Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 2.
I actually saw Clyde going second or third in a couple of mock drafts.
I wouldn't have taken him above 4. And I took Mike Thomas over Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 5 in another league I'm in, and I regret that. But yeah, I mean, we knew this Dallas defense wasn't going to be good, right? We knew.
It's a matter of I just don't understand.
We didn't think it would be this bad.
Exactly.
We didn't think it would be this bad.
Yeah, the last 2 years 2 years ago they were good. Last year they were really good.
Yeah. Their secondary just got completely depleted.
depleted or not, it's just like because it's not like last year they had like and one of like the really cool things about their defense last year was they didn't have like one like absolute animal. Yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence is really good. Leighton Vander Esch is a great linebacker. Byron Jones was good for them last year, but like you wouldn't put any of those guys in like the game wrecker category, like the type of player that's all pro level.
It's worth noting, at least for the run defense, Vander Esch is out for like 6 weeks, and so is Sean Lee, which honestly, the Sean Lee
you and I could probably run a faster 40 than Sean Lee right now.
You and I could probably stay on a football field longer than Sean Lee. Like, I mean, I feel like I don't know the last time I saw that man play consecutive football games.
The point I'm making is like, yeah, Vander Esch is out, Byron Jones left, but like, were those guys like the reason Dallas's defense was so phenomenal last year? Well, now it's just the worst defense in the league. Like, it doesn't add up.
I mean, like you talked about with the running back in LA with the Rams, like it's a lot about scheme. Like we've seen, like you don't need elite cornerbacks. If you have good coaching and you have cornerbacks that complement each other well, and you have a good pass rush that takes the pressure off of them. The problem is the Cowboys can't stop anyone on the ground, and they can't stop anyone through the air either.
Those are two big problems to have if you're an NFL defense.
Yeah, I'd say so. And and maybe. And they're not getting turnovers. That's the problem. I think that I saw their turnover differential is like -7. Like, and just maybe, hear me out here.
I'm listening for once.
Mike McCarthy was not a good coach in Green Bay. Is it possible?
I don't know if I'd go that far. I think Mike McCarthy wore out his welcome in Green Bay. He's got a ring,
I think Mike McCarthy had 1 year of, legit success. And other than that,
what about all the years? I don't know if I would say Mike McCarthy.
I don't know. Enough years of making the wild card or the second round of the playoffs. Like you have an all-time quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. Like eventually,
I think maybe Mike McCarthy gets a little too much credit than he should for his time in Green Bay. But I wouldn't go and call him a bad coach.
I would call him not a game-changing coach. Like not someone that's going to move the needle for you.
Okay, but how many game-changing coaches are there in the NFL?
All I'm saying is maybe Mike McCarthy is exactly who we thought he was, right? Like we thought maybe he needed a change of pace, a different sort of offense. He just, again, wore out his welcome with Aaron Rodgers, this and that.
I think something else, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know like the intricacies of Dallas's like defensive scheme or who their coordinators are, but it's just like the way their defense has fallen off. What I was going to say before you even brought up the Mike McCarthy thing was, to me, that indicates one of two things. Either you just got like an absolutely unsustainable year out of a bunch of guys on your defense, or you've got issues with your coaching staff. And I kind of, to your point, maybe they do have some issues with the coaching staff, but like by the same token, it's like they can't, similar to what I've said this a number of times on the show and kind of looked like a fool for. It's like, oh, they can't possibly be this bad. I said that about the Texans. I said that about the Vikings. I'm saying it about the Dallas defense. Like, can they possibly be this bad all year long? I don't know.
I mean, again,
I'm more inclined to believe that they'll be this bad all year long than I was believing that Houston would be so bad. But now they're 0-4.
Yeah, I tried to tell you, man. Like, especially looking at their schedule to start, I thought it was possible they win this game against the Vikings. But like, Texans are not good. They have the worst run defense in the league. Their offensive line is not good. They don't have weapons on offense. Deshaun Watson doesn't have enough to work with, and he is a great quarterback. Not even close to it.
That's the thing. It's like it's got to be so frustrating for Deshaun Watson. Like,
but he's also not playing to the level that we've expected.
But it's a classic chicken and the egg debate. It's like, look, you and I both agree Brandon Cooks is a good wide receiver, but he's not a number. He can't be a number one by himself. I think he can thrive in a 1A, 1B. Because you look at what he did in LA, it was almost like a 1A, 1B, 1C with him, Kupp, and Woods.
Yeah. But see, that's
a lot different than a 1-2 type of deal.
I think he still needs to be a step lower than a 1.
I think in the right system, I think he can be a 1A, 1B.
But they don't have a good offensive line. David Johnson's not cutting it for them. They don't have weapons on offense, and their defense is bad. And they have a dumbass coach and general manager. Oh, sorry, they technically don't have a general manager.
Same guy.
Which is idiotic. Like,
and at this point, if you're you guys are looking to the draft, like literally 0-4 playing like this.
Okay, you start looking to the draft, but you don't have first-round picks this year.
Right. Wow.
They don't have first-round picks first or second-round picks. I think their first pick is in the 4th round. Like, that's absurd. That is just terrible roster management.
Just off the dome here, do you like go rebuild here?
But what do you do to rebuild, right? Like, and that's
Fire
the thing
sale,
is that
blow it up. It kind of looks
who?
like that's the only option they're gonna have. What are you gonna do? Finish like 6-10 for the next 5 years and just waste
And
the
here's the
Deshaun Watson?
problem. Here's the problem with the Texans is that they've lost to good enough teams at least 3 of their first 4 weeks that you're like, oh, do you really need to fire sell, right? Because I'll pull up their schedule now. I don't know of it off the top of my head. But again, they lost to Kansas City. They lost to Baltimore. They lost to the Vikings. And they lost to the Steelers, right? 3 of those 4 teams are in
Presumable
the top
playoff teams.
in the top 15 of the league.
Yeah.
Fair? Yes.
Absolutely.
We have 3 of those teams. The Steelers, Ravens, and Chiefs. We have
all in our top 5.
On our top 5 of our power rankings, right? Here's
No spoilers, but
yeah, sorry. Here's who the Texans have coming up: the Jaguars, which is a winnable game, and I'll say winnable.
Winnable, but this is a Texans team that's 0-4. Like, what is a winnable game?
Then the Titans, a game they'll probably lose because Derrick Henry might run for 250 yards against them.
Very possible.
Then they have the Packers. They'll probably lose that game. The Jaguars, again, I wouldn't be surprised if they split with the Jaguars.
Yeah.
The Browns, who if they look like
I wouldn't be terribly surprised. I think it's very possible that they take both from the Jags.
It's possible. But who knows?
We don't have any like. There's no reason you should have much faith in the Texans other than in Deshaun Watson.
No. After that, Browns, Patriots, Lions, Colts twice, Bears, Bengals, Titans. How many of those games do you trust them to win? The Bengals game,
Bears game is winnable.
At least one of the Jaguars games, and maybe the Bears game, and maybe the Lions game. That gets them to.
But this is why I'm saying you think about blowing it up because, like, all right, Deshaun Watson's got a potential opt out in his contract in 2024. So absolute bare minimum, you've got 4 more years of Deshaun Watson in Houston, barring a trade, which I'm not anticipating.
I mean, look, Bill O'Brien said,
but like you're never going to get value back. Like trades in the NFL always baffle me, just how little value you get back for trading. Like the Ravens got Calais Campbell for what, a 5th?
Yeah,
it's an all-pro defensive end. You traded a 5th-round pick for like that, but that's what happens.
Never will, yeah,
it's just what like you're
it's
never
very rare. It's a win-win.
The value back for trading a Deshaun Watson type player, a top 10, top 7 player in the league. Like,
I mean, B.O.B., not the rapper B.O.B. I don't think I'm ever going to call Bill O'Brien by his full name anymore. I had
no clue where you're going with that.
I was about to call him B.O.B. and I was like, oh, I should just call him this every time.
You should not.
B.O.B. said this was a winner go home year. Like they were going all in this year. And they're 0-4, right? They have no draft capital. They don't have a good team. They don't really have, exciting pieces to trade away.
That's why I'm saying you got like, at what point do you start considering a rebuild, a retool, a rebuild on the fly, brand it as whatever you want. But it's like you said to yourself, how do they? I
think they probably wait a couple more weeks.
Well, no, I'm not saying like literally blow it up tomorrow, but like.
But it's tough.
I think a lot sooner rather than later. Did the NFL move the trade deadline back at all?
I think they did. I'm not sure.
At what point do you say like you got to acquire some? You got to create a means of improving this team. Mm-hmm. Like how much more could you possibly expect out of Deshaun Watson?
Of their next 4 games, Jaguars, Titans, Packers, and then Jags again. If they don't win, I don't know, 2 of those. If they win 2 of those, they'll go 2-2 over those weeks. They'll be 2-6. I think if they don't win more than 2 games, like maybe Bill O'Brien is gone, and they go. I think they'll trade Bill O'Brien. They'll fire Bill O'Brien.
I'm trade him, sure.
Who the fuck wants him? He's terrible. I mean, and this is not new news. Like he traded away DeAndre Hopkins, and we were like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's done anything.
But that's the type of thing where it's similar to the Odell situation in New York. It's like we might not know it as fans, but if you know internally that a guy has 0 interest in playing for you, why are you going to pay him?
Hopkins said he would have considered it. He was leaning away.
But I'm saying this is something like you and I might not know as fans. Like if you're Bill O'Brien, you're inside the Texans organization, and you know D-Hop wants out, does not have any real interest in playing for you. Yeah, it looks terrible and it sucks, but like you got to get rid of him. It also looks poorly on you as an organization that you couldn't convince one of the best receivers in the NFL to play with one.
I think that's what it comes down to.
That's the bigger issue there.
It's that you couldn't convince your star player with a young, exciting, possibly top 5 quarterback in the league. You couldn't convince him to stay there. because you couldn't construct a team around that, right? Like that was always the problem. Bill O'Brien was the problem. It wasn't Deshaun Watson. It wasn't DeAndre Hopkins.
No.
It was Bill O'Brien and the fact that they gave him GM powers. And like, I feel so bad for Texans fans for Jesse Chen.
I mean, do you?
Like this is, yeah, I do.
Specifically for Jesse Chen.
Yeah, only for Jesse Chen, honestly. This is a nightmare because you have no draft capital to work with. And like, what are you going to get, a first for Brandon Cooks? Like, no shot.
No.
Like,
hasn't traded for a first-round pick twice.
Like, yeah. Who do you trade away? Like Laramie Tunsil that you just signed to an extension. That's your only like competent offensive lineman, probably. I don't know.
Also, your only like valuable trade piece.
Yeah. Like, what do you trade away? Kiki Kuti? Like
Will Fuller the fifth? I don't know.
Will Fuller can't stay on the field.
Also, can we talk about that? It is Will Fuller the fifth. That's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of Fullers behind him, in front of him.
Four.
I don't want to talk about the Texans anymore. All I'm going to say is that I picked the Vikings before, and they couldn't practice for half of their week because of COVID, and I still trusted them to beat the Texans more. I think that
we didn't even. How did we even start talking? We were talking about the Cowboys.
Yeah.
How did we even get? I don't remember how we got on the Texans, but I was going to say about the Cowboys.
Yeah, let's just finish up the Cowboys.
Dak is on pace to annihilate. Is that the right word? Like, is that even a strong enough word to describe the pace that Dak Prescott is on to break
annihilate, nuke,
like
body?
Right. Let's talk actual numbers right now through 4 games. Yes, through 4 games, tiny sample size. Dak is on pace for 6,760 passing yards.
It's absurd.
The record set by a 75-year-old Peyton Manning in 2013 was just about 5,500. He's on pace to hit almost 1,200 more yards than that. Do I think he's going to get to 6,700 yards? No, absolutely not. That said, if Dallas's defense is this bad and their offense continues to be like this good, I could completely see Dak breaking this passing yards record.
It's going to be interesting because if he breaks the passing yard record or if he gets close to it, it's going to be a really interesting, like, kind of, the –
like in terms of the contract, is that what you're
saying? No. Besides the contract, I'm talking about like MVP and like storylines and all that stuff. Like, how much are we going to value absurd stats if they're just completely empty, right? Well,
yeah, exactly. And what happens when Dallas is, 3-10 and Dak has like already broken,
which I don't think they'll be 3-10, but
I mean, they're one like. Are they the best 1-3 team in the league? Probably. Are they literally an onside kick away from being 0-4, being tied with the New York Giants for last in the NFC East? Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
you can't ignore that.
Like,
if Dallas continues to be this bad, obviously Dak's not winning MVP. But what that means is a hell of a conversation on like what this season means for Dak, what it means for.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Imagine he passes for 6,000 touchdowns and doesn't win MVP.
6,000 touchdowns would be a lot of touchdowns. Be a lot of
6,000 yards. I mean, if you look at it, he's nearly passed for 1,700 yards already. And 1,546 of those, this is the number right here, is with his team trailing. Right? He's trailed by double digits in 3 of the 4 games.
Did you find that in an article or did you calculate that?
No, I calculated it.
Damn, okay.
Because you can, just because NFL breaks it down and while trailing, while leading, all that stuff.
Oh, true.
So, like, they got up to
it or you saw it?
Anyway.
You saw it. Okay. I really thought you would, like, calculated that, bro. I was about to be so impressed. I was like, God damn, this man is.
You really think I would do that?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I am a hardo. But anyway, like, that's like probably 90% of his passing yards have come while he's trailing. And I know we have to take that with a grain of salt because in the Seattle game, right? Like, he was trailing at one. I think their biggest deficit was like 14. That is not a huge deficit. It's not unheard of.
Like,
right?
and obviously it's trailing, but yeah.
Cleveland and Atlanta, those were 20-point deficits in the first half. Yeah. Like, they're not empty stats, but we have to remember that.
The other side of that, though, is when you're down 3 scores like that, everyone knows you're trying to move the ball through the air. Like, everyone knows you're going to be passing the ball, and you're still doing it. Yeah,
and it's a little different, and, like, I don't think we have to talk too much more about the Colts and Bears game, but if you saw the end of that, it was 19-3 Colts, and, like, the Bears had, I don't know, like 3-4 minutes to work with, and, like, they're going to play in, like, cover 4 the entire time, or the Colts. Like, and that's just yards you give up. So that's just the hard part about, kind of separating garbage stats from that. And they're not garbage stats for Dallas, but they had to score 24 unanswered to make it, within a 2-score game in the fourth. So, like, you got to –
But then the other side of that as well is, like, at a certain point, you figure Cleveland would have stopped just playing, like, soft zone. And there's also the Browns we're talking about. Like,
their defense
it's just so tough to make,
very good.
It's so tough to make light or day of it because, like, the numbers are just so absurd right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think a friend of the pod, Jack Powers, kept calling it a Swiss cheese defense. That was what he just kept attaching to. Their defense wasn't good. And, like, Zeke has not played well through the beginning of the season. Like, he's shown a little bit of
also, these are not the games that Dallas is – these are not the games we're used to seeing Dallas play. We're used to seeing Dallas win games like 17-3 and just feed Zeke. Mm-hmm. I hate it. I hate Zeke. But
I love it. I like the eating. I love it.
It's not like people – the thing – okay, it's not even necessarily that I hate Zeke does it. It's that's nothing new. That's nothing special that, like, just Ezekiel Elliott does. The amount of times, like – you and I have been playing pickup basketball. One of us like goes like this.
Yeah, but it's this thing. It's like the slow, like I like that it's this thing. I like it. It's cool.
Do you like his stomach tattoo that says "Feed me"?
Hey man, if you're making that much money, I don't give a fuck what you do. Like
that's just I hate it. Just real quick, looking at the Dallas' schedule here, got the Giants this coming week. That should be a win. Got the Cards. Who knows? Should beat Washington, should beat Philly. Like, yeah, you can see where Dallas can turn it around, but, like, you also got to look at the fact that they've, like,
haven't proved it yet.
Haven't played well. Like, it's confusing. It's really confusing to figure out what Dallas' deal is.
That's the thing. They're in last now. I think they're tied with the Giants. They're
ahead of the Giants. The Giants
are ahead. Yeah, right. Giants have not won a game yet.
Yeah,
they're a little ahead
at this
of the
point. It's
Giants.
like talking to me about the Knicks, man. Like, I don't care.
I mean, the Eagles are in first of the division with a 1-2-1 record, right?
NFC East, baby.
All I'm saying is Dallas wins their next 3 games, which they absolutely should. Like, they're catapulted.
I don't know. Like, Arizona, I think they could. I would expect 2.
No, I'm talking about Giants. Their next 3 division games.
Next to the divisional. Okay.
Giants,
so 3 out of 4. They go. Yeah. I just pulled it. I literally just closed the tab. But 3 out of 4 NFC East games.
They have to win. They have to win every single one of those games.
Yeah.
I don't really anything else on that game. I mean, I thought it was really concerning for Dallas, not concerning for Cleveland. Like there's some games where you're like,
what do you mean not concerning for Cleveland?
I mean that they blew the huge lead at the end.
That's no concern.
I wouldn't say no.
24 unanswered in the fourth and turning it into a close game is very.
I wouldn't say
that game was over. That game was over.
I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no concern. But I think you're missing your best running back, and you still hold on to it. Not that that
stopped them. That literally was a non-factor.
They've
got the Ernest. They've got the Ernest. I'm telling you, the amount of jokes that I was making on Sunday about the Ernest Johnson. Oh my God, some quality stuff.
Moving on to the rest of the slate. Tom Brady shut us up yesterday.
Best game as a Buck.
Yeah, no, absolutely, easily. He struggled to start. He's now thrown a pick 6 in 4 of his last 6 games.
Baby.
That's
like
crazy.
I really going into the season. I didn't know how I was going to feel about Tom Brady. I didn't know just like personally if my hate for Brady was more like
Patriots
hate and also Brady or like Brady. I hate Tom Brady.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What about the Patriots?
Also,
do you like this Patriots team?
No. Why would I?
Well, you hate him significantly less than if Brady was still there.
I wouldn't say significantly less. I'd say I hate him differently. Because now they actually can kind of play the underdog card, which is frustrating.
Yeah, how can you hate Cam Newton, man?
I don't hate Cam. I hate the Patriots. And by association, Cam Newton.
Whatever.
How many times do you think we've had a how do I hate the Patriots conversation on Second Floor Sports? 20, 30?
Too many to count. Brady went 30 of 46, 369 nice yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick to 5 different receivers. And he threw the ball well down the field. That was the big thing.
Who's surprised to see Scotty Miller taking on a huge role with this Bucs offense now that Brady's in town?
No one.
Short, white slot receiver.
You see his name and then just his build, and you're like, it's over.
That's a Brady guy.
I was listening to the first game, and they were like, Scotty Miller fits the mold of all his previous receivers, and I was like, oh, this guy's
honestly just surprised he didn't end up in New England at any point.
Yeah, honestly. He's probably pretty young. I'd never heard of him before the season.
There's no way he's like a rookie, is he?
I don't know. Or he's like second year, third year practice
Scotty
squad
Miller.
guy.
He might be a rookie, actually.
No, okay. Super impressed with Tyrod Taylor too.
Herbert. Yeah, I was like, wait.
I was looking at Tyrod super impressed with Justin Herbert. 20 of 25, 290.
For those of you watching at home, on our rundown, we've got one line with Herbert's line, and then right underneath it says, "Sorry, Tyrod."
Again. And it's hard because Anthony Lynn has said he doesn't want to do this, and a lot of coaches
Anthony Lynn is full of shit if he says he doesn't want to do this.
No. What I'm saying, because coaches don't like making quarterback changes because of injuries. But sometimes you have to. Like
this is a textbook situation of when you have to. Like your starter
when Alex Smith got hurt,
you got a young quarterback
on the Niners. Like they had to go to Colin Kaepernick, and freezing cold.
Is that the first explanation? Is that the first analogy that came to mind?
Yes, because I remember being like, "This is bullshit." Like they got to keep Alex
Smith. Was a first rounder though?
No,
he wasn't. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you just have to go with. You got to go with your
analogy. I would have gone with. I feel like this is as textbook a situation to make the change as it gets. Like,
absolutely.
Starting quarterback gets hurt, out for at least a month. You throw in your rookie on
or however long it takes to recover from a punctured lung.
Well, it's not just to recover, but it's to get back to like game shape. Herbert comes in like short notice, doesn't even do it justice. 15 minutes before kickoff, your head coach comes up to you and is like, "What's up, rookie? You're starting. Go."
He's like, "Fuck."
Oh shit. Like obviously he's prepared, but and then comes out and plays perfectly fine. Has his doesn't play a spotless game, doesn't play the best game that I've ever seen in the NFL. But like
took the Chiefs to OT.
Took the champs to OT, come out and just lost by a touchdown to Tom Brady, who threw his best game as a Buck. Like there's absolutely no reason to put Tyrod Taylor back in. There's no better teaching tool than experience and reps.
And he lost Austin Eckler, which was another thing considered.
Who picked up Josh Kelly in our fantasy league last week?
I'm not really worried. Your running back situation makes me want to puke.
And actually, you say this. I got 25 and 22 out of my 2 running backs this week.
Chris
Carson got 25. Mike Davis got 22. Antonio Gibson had 21 on my bench.
Well, that's the problem is that I don't trust Antonio Gibson for a second, and Mike Davis is
Have you seen Antonio Gibson's usage the last 4 weeks?
It's completely touchdown dependent, isn't it?
Just his usage, his touches.
Oh, okay.
Picking up.
I'm good on having a Washington running back. And Mike Davis is going to be
the guy who drafted the Jags running back.
I drafted him in like the last round, literally.
Antonio Gibson got 22. And Antonio Gibson very well might be starting for me this week.
4-0, baby.
Yeah, fair. Season's still young.
Yeah, true. Let's rip through the rest of these games. We got about 5 to 10 minutes left. Panthers, Cardinals. Cardinals dropped their second straight game. Is this more about
maybe the Cardinals aren't going to the Super Bowl? Maybe the Cardinals aren't the best offense in the league.
Is this more about the Panthers being a little better than we thought? Because I wasn't a Teddy Bridgewater believer, or were we just a little quick on the Cardinals?
I think a little quick on the Cards, and also the Cardinals are young on both sides of the ball. They're a really young, really exciting young team. I think could very possibly. I forgot they're in the NFC West for a second. Any division other than the NFC West, I'd be looking at the Cardinals as like a dark horse playoff team. They're not making it out of the NFC. Unless the NFC West literally sends all 4 teams to the playoffs, they're not making it.
They do not have a fun schedule. I think they play the Jets in the next couple of weeks, and that's really it. Everyone else is like someone that you can look at as a title contender. I don't know. Teddy Bridgewater's been playing pretty well the last 2 weeks. I'm still not a believer, but this Cardinals defense is as bad as we thought.
I saw one thread on Twitter that was talking about how the Panthers could be better without McCaffrey. And obviously I'm like, all right, that's ridiculous. The notion that they'll be a little bit more diverse offensively is true. They're not just going to feed McCaffrey. And I think there's some merit to the idea that when a guy who's so clearly the nexus of your offense goes down like that, opposing teams don't really know what to expect out of you in the next. Yeah. Exactly. You have to completely reshape your game plan because it no longer is it just dedicate everything to stop McCaffrey. You got to worry about the whole team more than you do with McCaffrey.
Sounds a lot like the NBA Finals, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, let's rip through the rest of these games. Joe Burrow picked up
some Heat analogies today. I like it.
Oh yeah.
And by Heat, I mean incredibly confusing. But
get it? Heat? No pun intended.
I gotta go, guys. No.
Burrow picked up his first win of his career, 33-25 over the Jaguars. Both these teams are still awful, but Joe Burrow's been playing really well.
And the Jags really have not been as atrocious as I thought they were going to be, in all honesty.
Yeah, no. We thought they were going to win maybe a game, and I mean, they only have 1-1, so we'll see. Yeah. But what a concept. Joe Burrow actually gets a solid offensive line play. They get some running game going, and they win. What a concept, right?
Saints pick up the win, shootout over the Lions.
Maybe see what Matt Patricia said?
I don't think so.
He was
had a lot of work to do. Yeah,
Matt Patricia, for those who don't know, I don't know if there's anyone in Detroit that still wants him to be the head coach, honestly. Took over a 9-win team.
Belichick assistants?
What?
What is it about Belichick assistants?
I don't know. It's almost like they fit well in the system, but they just can't survive out of the coaching tree most of the time.
It's just so confusing.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Patricia took over a 9-win team from Jim Caldwell, and since then, I think they've won 6
in a situation where it's just Caldwell wore out his welcome,
25,
McCarthy and Green Bay.
Yeah,
it wasn't necessarily that Jim Caldwell was a bad coach. It was just Caldwell had been there for forever. I think he came in after
sometimes you just got to switch it up.
Exactly, and they made the wrong call.
Yeah, and Matt Patricia said we inherited a team. We had a lot of work to do, and Matt Patricia is trending in the wrong way. I think him, Adam Gase, and Dan Quinn still have the hottest seats. But I think I'd still give it to Quinn just because he has the most talent.
The Jets ownership came out and said Gase was fine, which is
yeah. Well, that's
the type of thing that I don't necessarily believe it.
No,
but they still felt the need to come out publicly and say it. That's.
Well, I mean, and again, we have to. You would think that it's why would they fire him if they said that? But then again, I remember a certain New York GM saying we didn't draft a player to trade him, and then you trade him a couple months later. So honestly, who fucking knows? But I think Gase's team is bad enough that his job is safe for the next couple of weeks, regardless of how bad he is.
Well, yeah, you got to balance expectations, but you also got to balance Adam Gase is single-handedly ruining Sam Darnold's career. Mm-hmm. Offensive genius, quote unquote. Yeah. Dude must give a hell of a job interview.
Yeah.
What did Adam Gase do in his job interview?
Nothing. Nothing.
He did something. He convinced.
There's just a running list at this point of players on the Dolphins and elsewhere that he has been an assistant for that have just flourished as soon as they've left his ruling thumb.
But that's what I'm saying. Somewhere in his interview with the Jets, he convinced them somehow that he was a talented, capable NFL head coach.
Let me tell you a secret.
He's not white. I mean, that's part, but there are a lot of white coaches in the NFL that aren't as bad as Adam Gase, man.
No, that's I would hope not.
There are a lot of people that are not as bad head coach as Adam Gase.
Last couple ones, Baltimore, 31-17 win over Washington. Almost said their former name.
Cracks me up when you're talking with a friend. They're the football team's playing today. I was like, football team.
I think the score wasn't indicative. Baltimore dominated.
Baltimore just smoked them. Lamar didn't even play half the fourth quarter.
I think it was hilarious. RG3 came into play at FedEx Field. That's where his career started. It was just weird.
I didn't even think about that. I actually didn't even put that together. That's funny.
Yeah. Rams, Giants. I'll let you take the lead if you really want to talk about this one.
There's a reason I said anytime I see a double-digit spread in the NFL, I avoid it. I had the Rams to win this one. I guess it looks all right for the Giants' defense.
The defense didn't play bad outside of one blown coverage.
To only give up 17 to the Rams is it's a solid week. The Giants just have so many issues. You look at this guy. I don't know what games the Giants win this season. Maybe they pull out a win. Philly's not good. Washington's not great. I think Washington's D-line is going to terrorize the Giants. Mm-hmm. Best case scenario for the Giants, you take 2 out of 4 from Washington and Philly. You beat the Bengals, maybe. I don't know, 3 wins, 4 wins. I don't.
Be trying to lose as many games as possible.
We should be. Give me Trevor Lawrence. At this point, I hate to say it. I already want Trevor Lawrence.
Oh man,
I saw an awful stat through their first 17 games. Guess who's got more turnovers between Daniel Jones and Jameis Winston?
Daniel Jones.
Guess by how many?
3?
12.
Oh. Through his first how many games?
17. 30 turnovers.
Oh man.
He almost had his second career no turnover game yesterday, and then threw a game sealing interception.
Yeah, at least he's not leading the league in fumbles lost. That's Derek Carr.
Let's go.
So we'll just, if we're there, Bills beat the Raiders. Bills look good again. Josh Allen looks good again. I exited the game for a little bit.
I don't want to get too far into it because we got a lot to get to. But where does Josh Allen slide into this MVP race?
3-4
so early, but got to be like top 3, top 4.
I think it's probably at this point Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott.
I mean, knowing the way the NFL MVPs get awarded, I'd probably put Josh Allen ahead of Dak. 4
probably
games, very possible that Josh Allen's like the second
for
MVP right now.
You're right.
I don't want to judge too much through 4 weeks, but hard to argue. Same way we were saying earlier, it's hard to argue with the absurd numbers that Dak is putting up in losses. Hard to argue with the way Josh Allen is playing, but it's also turning into wins. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Next couple of weeks going to be crucial as their schedule gets a lot harder. Last thing on that Raiders-Bills game, you see the fumble by Derek Carr? He played a pretty good game. And at one point he was just wrapped up and just threw the ball away, and it was just a fumble. Look it up if you're listening or watching our show right now and you haven't seen it. It's hilarious because he said, "I'm tired of being disrespected," and he just does. He does that, and kind of seals the deal.
See, the tough thing for my football watching on this past Sunday was that had Josh over, had to watch the Browns. I feel like that's just common courtesy. If you're watching a game with your friend and their team's on, you gotta give them the full game. And I don't know if y'all should do the same.
I've had to watch too many Giants games the last
I had to watch all of the Browns Cowboys game at 1. It actually turned into a good game. I didn't want to switch it off. Then I had to watch all of the Giants Rams games. So to catch up, I just kind of skimmed through highlights where I could. So I definitely didn't get the full rundown of.
You didn't miss that much. Don't worry.
I didn't miss all that much. And it's great. I had to watch. At least the Giants game was close. It was a lot better than the Niners game.
And honestly, I think it was worse that it was close. You would have rather just gotten blown out.
I would have rather gotten blown out, but at least it was competitive enough to keep me interested.
Fair.
Interested, never expected to win though.
Oh, you didn't take your nap at 4:25?
No, I didn't.
Wow. How do you feel?
I slept well last night. Got in bed pretty early, midnight.
Okay.
But for me.
Last game from yesterday, Philly and San Fran. Who's this more about, Philly or San Fran?
But that's not even San Fran. That's half of the Niners.
That's why I ask. How do you value this win? I mean, Philly looked good yesterday.
I think it's still more concerning if you're the Niners. The Niners' depth is so good still. Mm-hmm. They should have beaten Philly. I mean, but also, what was Philly going to do? Go winless? Going winless in an NFL season is so improbable. Mm-hmm. And this is exactly the type of game that a bad team is going to win. You're going up against a good team that's hurt, missing the key starters all across the field. That said, I still think the Niners should. I'm surprised this was I was so surprised that this was a close game. Yeah,
no, me too. The Niners were 8.5 point favorites.
I don't think either of us took the Niners there. But
no. I think this is more about Philly, honestly, because if you look at the Niners, still don't have your top 2 running backs, don't have your starting quarterback, don't have your best 2 defensive linemen, and Deebo Samuel's first game back. I'm not worried about them. For Philly, I mean, this was, again, you talk about –
You say you're not worried, but in what world should San Fran ever have been in a close game with Philly?
Nick Mullins played terrible yesterday.
Terrible, but we've seen Nick Mullins is on the better side of NFL backups.
Fair, but I think
in a system that is not predicated on phenomenal quarterback play.
I just think that their team is so messed up right now with no weapons for a backup. I'll give credit to the Eagles because they had lost and tied against bad teams. And then they came out and they beat a depleted team. They got the job done. They needed to. I mean, look, they literally just
they played the exact game that they had to play to beat the Niners.
They kept pace. They kept pace in the NFC East, which is all you can really ask for.
Kept pace.
Really exciting tonight, Monday Night Football. I know you really
wanted, baby.
I know you really wanted Tuesday Night Football.
I would have loved a little Tuesday Night Football. That said,
this is rough. This is rough for ESPN. I feel bad for them.
And it's unprecedented. What do you do? How do you handle the situation?
No, you don't. This is your option, and tip of the cap to the NFL too, because I don't want to spend too much time on this.
Very slight, very slight tip of the cap.
Very slight, but we had a lot of doubts coming into this because they hadn't released, what their protocols were and all this and all that, and they got a little lucky with the bye weeks with the Ravens and the Steelers and the Titans, but they shuffled it around.
I don't know if I say lucky, not nearly
as worked out easily
as it could have been.
Yeah. It worked out easily. They were able to pretty easily reschedule it. I'm sure it was an absolute firehouse for them, but it seemed fine for us.
I'd like to believe that I'd say I'd like to believe, as if I'm assuming the NFL is like a well-run organization.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'd like to believe that they had like kind of run over these type of situations where it's like, what happens if we have to postpone a game? I mean, there's so many dominoes fall whenever you move one of these games around. Like, it's so difficult. Like, yeah, again, it's a tiny little tip of the cap to the NFL for like figuring this out. Could have been a lot more chaotic.
Our concern was because too, like when the MLB season started, we were like, how are they going to handle this? Like, are they going to handle it well? And there were certain points where we were like, oh shit, we didn't have a plan. And you're like, what do you mean you didn't have a plan for there to be an outbreak in your dugout? Like,
for our own blood pressure, I don't even want to talk about how baseball handled COVID.
I'll say I'm pleasantly surprised, but the fact that the Patriots are taking like multiple buses and they kind of stop on a highway in Boston heading towards the airports, they like stop traffic to let the buses through, which was weird. They have like 6 Patriots buses and they're taking 2 separate planes. Like at some point you're like, bro, what are we doing?
Are you not all about to go stand on the same sideline?
Yeah, but I'm assuming that half these players are not going to be with them, or because the way they split it up were planes that were people that had potential exposure to Cam Newton, who is still the only positive test there.
Which is pretty remarkable, actually.
Yeah, but they haven't, but they haven't tested positive, and now everyone else is people that have been clear that they contact traced and they cleared. It's weird, but I guess as a Patriots fan, I'm just happy they're playing. I will also say
Cam Newton tested positive a second time?
I'm not sure, but he's ruled out for this game, so I'm assuming so.
It just seems like I'm not a doctor, if you guys couldn't tell. It seems almost unbelievable that your starting quarterback could get COVID and be the only positive on the team. It seems like almost weird. Unbelievable.
And as I say that, we just get a notification that the NFL updated their COVID protocols, but there was nothing breaking on there, so I'm not going to read it now.
It almost makes me think it was a false positive.
Well, if he does, I'm assuming that because he said that he's not playing today, then it wasn't a false positive.
I mean, yeah.
I assume.
I guess I'll have to do a little more reading there. I don't know.
Yeah. Chiefs Pats at 7. I still think the Chiefs are going to take that game, especially. They started.
I need the Chiefs -7 there. Otherwise, I'm 0-4 in my picks so far on the show.
Yikes.
I literally said it when we were doing our picks last Thursday. I was like, anytime I see a double-digit spread in the NFL, I'm going the other way.
Well, the Chiefs started as a -7, and now they're -11.
Well, I was more referring to the Rams. Rams -13 was one of my locks last week, and the Rams and the Giants. Good teams win, great teams cover. The Giants are a great football team.
I guess. I didn't pick them because you did. And then the later game, Packers-Falcons. No Devontae Adams takes away from what should be probably a shootout or should have been on paper. Do the Falcons have a chance? Are they done?
I mean, Aaron Jones is playing, isn't he?
Yeah. True.
Exactly. Damn shame, though. The Packers, before the season, cut Jake Kumro, one of the only D3 wide receivers in the NFL still.
All I'll say is that Ali Marpet, D3 lineman for the Bucs, is the second highest rated lineman so far this season. You put this question. What was the biggest? Guys. Yeah. What was the biggest Week 4 result for you? You put this question in.
I put the question in, and I don't even know what. Okay, honestly, I threw it in when I was just doing the skeleton. For the I was just kind of trying to organize my thoughts.
You.
Yeah, a little bit. It's fine. It happens. Gun to my head, I think it's the Bucs game. Actually, I think Brady needed this game. Yeah. Honestly, I think Brady hadn't played poorly, but had looked like he's 42. Then comes out, throws for 375, scores. That's as much as it pains me to say it, a vintage Brady game.
Yeah, fair. Best game for someone of his age. I saw comparisons to Peyton Manning and Marino, I think it was. For me, biggest result was the Browns holding on and winning that game and nearly hanging a 50-piece on Dallas, because we talked about this last week for our show. We said that's kind of a prove it game, right? If Dallas loses and now they're 1-3, you're like, oh shit, they're in trouble. Yeah. If the Browns win, the Browns had beat up on bad teams. They lost to a very good Ravens team week 1, then they beat up on bad teams. And give credit where credit is due. They did what they had to do. They won those games. They also let up like 30 to the bank.
When I was talking about the Bills, when I've been talking about the Bills going from like 2 seasons ago to last season to this current season, like you move from being one of the bad teams to beating bad teams. Like you don't go from being a bad team to being a good team in one season. Like you have to, very unlikely. You got to kind of progress, especially when you've got a young quarterback, a young offense. Like you're not just overnight going to turn into one of those good NFL teams. You got to graduate from like bad to mediocre to good.
Mm-hmm. And for the Browns, like they're a team right now that I think it's fair to say, like they lose to the top tier teams, they beat bad teams, and they can beat, mediocre teams like what we have to call Dallas now. I think they're better than 1-3, but we can't call them a good team if they are one.
They haven't done anything to be called a good team. Like they don't deserve it.
But it's still a good 1-3 team that the Browns beat. I think I really like this. And you had your big OBJ game, which was sorely missing.
Murdered me in fantasy.
Yeah, fair. We kind of touched upon our bets. Ben, you picked the Rams -13 against the Giants and Kansas City -7 against New England. I would expect that to cash through. I went 2-0 last week. This week I picked Denver -3 against the Jets, sweating it a little bit at the end, but we came through. Seattle -6.5 against Miami. That was a sweater, but it turned out well. And Buffalo -3 against Vegas, and I am now 5-0 in the last 2 weeks. And I went 9-3 in my pick'ems this week. So
not a great start for my bets. That's why I didn't put any real money on them, though. So,
and I know this is going to sound completely random for anyone listening on Spotify or anything. If you're not watching us on Instagram Live, so really anywhere, but if you're watching back on our page,
you're literally watching right now.
Our good friend Ryan Nadeau is a big Liverpool fan, and when I say big Liverpool fan, I didn't hear him talk about it until they won the cup, which is interesting.
Yikes!
But he's been talking a whole lot of shit the last couple of weeks because City has been down a little bit, and Messi wanted to leave Barcelona, and he's just been really just in my DMs a good amount. But Liverpool got smoked yesterday. They lost by more than 4. So that's all I'm going to say, Ryan. I hope you enjoyed your Sunday. Power rankings real quick before we get to baseball. I love how we said we we're going to talk about football for like 30 minutes, and it's been now 45. Your power rankings. We had some differences here.
Pretty slight differences. I got contingent on
in the top, though.
That's true, actually. I got Seattle, Buffalo, the Chiefs, assuming they win tonight. Obviously, if the Chiefs lost, they'd be out. I've bet on them to win.
Is that why the Chiefs not playing? Is that why you had them at 3 and not 1?
Basically, yeah.
So if they win tonight, they're 1.
You could say that, yeah. I just see Seattle's 4-0. They've beaten Seattle. I still think is a little bit more impressive to me. I honestly like the Chiefs going to overtime against the Chargers knocks them down like just a little half peg for me. Should not have had to go to overtime against the rookie quarterback like that.
I think blowing out the Ravens, and I say blowing out because of performance-wise, like blowing out the Ravens really just negates all that. And I mean, the Seahawks struggled a little bit against the Dolphins.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a classic Fitzmagic game, right?
We're talking as if we both have like real rock solid formulas that we use.
No, but I still think, and I think it's really tough to, we're basically doing a power rankings before as if it would be Sunday Night Football because there's still 2 games to be played. Yeah. So I had Chiefs, Bills, Seahawks. So really the only difference there is that we swapped the Seahawks and Chiefs. Ravens at 4, and then we had the same thing at the end.
Whoever wins Titans Steelers. That should be like so upset that we are not. What is that? Week 7 now?
Yeah. Week 7.
That would have been a fun game for this week.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a fun game.
It'll be fun week 7. Oh boy, let's move on.
Playoff time.
Dun. Before we get into the breakdowns of the games, I want to talk to Rob Manfred here. 5 straight games in an LDS series, and then 2 days off before the LCS series. Atrocious. Ridiculous. Like actually has the potential to ruin the postseason.
Yeah. What, they haven't played in 4 days at this point? 3 days?
Like, did you think off days were only so teams could travel? Like, it fucking ruins the bullpen.
Yeah.
If any of these series go, like, it's just so bad, man. It's another example of Major League Baseball not knowing, like, what's good for them. We have no postseason games on this weekend, and then I forget what series it is. I think Astros A's. All 5 games are like a 1:30 p.m. start.
Yeah.
Who's watching those? Who's
I saw
watching
this
those?
tweet. I saw this tweet. It was like they have the Yankees basically at like the Sunday night, like 8 p.m. start, and then every
Yankees
other
played
game,
first 2 at 8, next 3 at 7.
and then every game being played on Stars.
Yeah, I saw one tweet,
Essentially.
similar idea. It was like, Major League Baseball will project every Yankees game into the night sky. You don't even have to have a TV. You just look out your window.
Yeah.
You can watch the beloved Yankees play. And it's like every other series is on like an underwater TV.
That's funny.
It's just 5 games in 5 straight days is just such a bad idea. It just ruins the series, man. Like,
yeah. You okay to start with Astros A's just because that's the game that's going on right now?
Sure.
As we're recording this, 4:54, Astros A's. You picked the Astros to make it to the second round. I foolishly thought the fucking Twins could win a playoff game. And we both picked the White Sox.
You thought they could win 2 playoff games. Yeah. You thought they could win 2. Come on.
Yeah, no, I have nothing to say.
I wish we had an AP to like pull up the audio of you picking
right
the
now.
Twins there. Yeah. Severin.
Or Jake Shelley.
Or Shelley, true.
And great APs. I
We
love
have
how
one great AP.
I
I'll
love
let him
how,
figure out which one it is.
Ithaca Radio just, takes advantage of young people. And you're like, hey, you want to be our AP?
It's not like we're getting paid either way.
No. We both picked the White Sox, although
yeah.
I did say if the White Sox lost game, yeah, I don't know why I say it like that. If the White Sox lost game 2, like they were going to lose game 3 because I don't trust their starting pitching past the first 2, and the A's bullpen.
That's the type of
Yeah, no, but I could.
If they score fewer points, they're going to lose the series.
But I trust the A's starting pitching slightly more than I trust the White Sox starting pitching. And then their bullpen is fantastic.
I actually didn't realize this until I was making the rundown. A's have the best bullpen ERA in the league this year.
Yeah, they do. They're rock solid in the back. I mean, you bring your bullpen in and you're set. The only problem is can your starting pitching in a 5-game series, give you enough innings?
Well, it goes both ways. I mean, 5 games in 5 straight days, like this goes for every series down the line. Like you're going to need length from your starting pitching.
Yeah.
And it's like and the A's were super aggressive. They went to Liam Hendricks for like a 5-out save, I think.
Yeah.
In the last game of the first round. It's like, how aggressive are you going to be with your closer in game 2, in game 1? Like,
yeah.
Liam Hendricks threw 49 pitches in that 5-out save. Like, that's probably, I don't know if that's actually the most pitches he's thrown all season long in an outing. I would imagine.
I would assume
he's probably not throwing 49 pitches more than once in a season. Like, it's just like, yeah, I get that you don't have to worry about travel days, but it's like you need to give these guys a day off, at least one, at least go like 2, then 3.
Yeah.
It's just going to be frustrating when you get to like the 4th, 5th game of a series. You're in like a high leverage situation, and I know the Yankees bullpen better than these other teams. Obviously, the Yankees are going to like Luis Sessa in the bottom of the 8th in a 1-run game. Like that's not what that's not what you want to see. That's not what any fan wants to see. You want to see your best guys pitching in the biggest moments.
Just the meme of Chris Affleck's. Or no, it was Matthew McConaughey doing that, and then Chris Affleck standing outside with a cigarette. He's like,
dude, this week I'm not going to slip. We just can get right into the Yankees series. I don't know why we're avoiding it.
But who would you pick? Astros, A's.
And I got the Astros in the ALCS, man.
Yeah, I think if the A's starting pitching can play decently well and they can cool off some of the Astros bats, which again, series win, still not hitting to their potential. The A's have hot bats.
As much as I also hate to see the Astros playing with confidence. And, let me also just talk directly to Carlos Correa here. If you're watching this show, Carlos Correa, fuck you.
He's probably just playing. That's pretty rude, dude. That's pretty rude.
I hate him. I said this last week. It's about, what Pats fans say, everyone hates it. Everyone thinks we're not going to win. It's like, no, people just hate you and don't want you to win.
Oh, there's a huge difference. There's a
huge difference.
There's a huge difference between the Patriots and the Astros. Right? Like, everyone hates the fucking Astros. Patriots are America's team, obviously. You want to call the Cowboys America's team? Who is really America's team? It's got to be the Patriots.
You could not be more – everyone outside of New England hates the Patriots. What do you mean they're America's team?
It's America's team. For my money. I
can't tell if you're being serious or not.
No, I'm just reeling you in. Works to a T.
That's your line when you said something stupid. Get out of here.
What do you mean? They're America's team. Everyone loves them.
I think the Astros win the series.
I think the funniest thing about what Correa said, he was like, no one believed in us. Like, now we're getting hot and all this and all that. And it was like, what are the next person going to say? And the A's were like, oh yeah, we won the division. We beat you guys more times in the regular season. Still hitting career lows.
Segue though, if I can bring this up here, your comment about who's got the better record in the regular season. I was reading a really, really interesting Ringer piece this morning.
Ben loves the Ringer.
I love the Ringer is arguably, it's like, I love the Athletic for like their like game day reporting, but in terms of like day after kind of like recap think pieces, I love, for any sport, I love the Ringer. They're just doing like a LDS kind of postseason preview.
I'm picking the Athletic just because it makes me feel better about paying for it.
Fair. I'm actually not. I got the Athletic as a birthday gift. So I'm not paying for it yet.
I got that in my first year as a birthday gift too. But
exactly.
Now I'm on my second year, and it is no longer a gift, and the discount isn't there anymore.
But on the Ringer, they're talking about the correlation between regular season record and run differential between like divisional teams, because every LDS series is a divisional matchup, and postseason success. So I forget what the exact number is called, but it's like the correlation factor 0 would mean there is precisely no link between the two. A factor of 1, like 1.0, would be it is exactly predictive. The correlation between postseason or regular season success, run differential, and postseason success is 0.004. It's 4,000th of a point higher than no correlation. So basically, regular season record and run differential means nothing. And it makes perfect sense. You look at these games, like it's not just the Yankees that were missing guys. Like a lot of these teams aren't playing the same guys in the regular season that they play in the postseason. Like in the Braves-Marlins series, the Braves won a game by 20 in that series this year. I don't think the Braves are winning a postseason game by 20 runs this season. Like, it was a really, really interesting piece to see that it truly is a whole different animal come October.
Yeah, it's great to see that, everything we saw in the regular season basically doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, that's basically what this article was saying. It was like, throw it all out.
This is going to – Rays-Yankees is going to be a hell of a series.
I mean, I said it in our full postseason preview. Whoever wins this, I think it's got to be the World Series favorite. I think this will be the most tightly contested postseason series we see, honestly.
No, I'm going to agree with you.
I just don't know how – I don't think you can find – short of like a Yankees-Dodgers matchup, like I don't think you could find two more like
I don't think you can –
contested teams.
The Texans have fired Bill O'Brien.
What?
I told you.
Wow.
I told you it was going to happen. This is long overdue.
Wow.
I told you.
Yo, we are always on for these firings. I love it.
We're on for Doc Rivers and Bill O'Brien.
I love it.
Yeah. We had done that in the first hour. Talked a lot of shit about the Texans. Talked about the fact that if Bill O'Brien doesn't win 2 of his next 4 games, he's going to get fired.
Guess what?
It didn't make it to that. Bill O'Brien just got fired. Neither of us are surprised. Both of us are pleasantly surprised.
I feel like this adds a lot more credence to the fact that the Texans might be trying to burn it down.
Yeah. I mean, because not only did you just fire your head coach, you just fired your GM as well. So someone's going to come in and they're going to be like, okay, from this team, I like Laramie Tunsil. I like Deshaun Watson. I don't want any other of these fucking players on my team. Like, right?
It's got to be a full rebuild at this point. If you're going to fire your head coach / GM 4 games into the season, like I feel like you can't try to rebuild on the fly like that, or at least it would be a bad idea, but it would also be a bad idea to let Bill O'Brien be your GM in the first place. I don't know.
Does Deshaun Watson stay more than 2 years on the Texans? Like if they suck for the next 2 years, he's like, fuck this.
Again, the issue is like, you're not getting, what are you going to get back for a Deshaun Watson trade? They don't have to trade him. I don't know if he has a no trade.
I doubt it.
I don't know. I feel like most quarterbacks try to get that no trade clause.
Honestly, with the fucking team that was being built around him, that Bill O'Brien being one of the worst roster managers in the league,
no trade clause.
No trade clause?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he could probably choose to waive it.
I mean, yeah, you could probably waive it, but
yeah. Gross. If you want to hear more about this,
we'll figure this out more on. Are we doing Thursday show?
Yeah, Thursday show for sure.
Thursday show. We'll figure out more, and there's some more news around the topic.
If you're listening,
as much
watching,
as I love making things up for the show, I don't want to misinform.
If you came for a baseball analysis, we're gonna get right back into it. If you wanted to hear more about Bill O'Brien NFL slate, just go to the beginning of our episode, or if you're watching us on Instagram, we already have it posted. Ben, we're in the middle of talking about, or not even, we had just started talking about
just got
Rays
into it.
Yankees. I'll let you take the lead here. What you think's going to happen? What do you think are going to be some keys?
Well, what I think is going to happen is I very well might be dead like halfway through this week, bro. I might have an actual heart attack. It's just such a tight series. It's like every way you look at it, it's like the Rays played really well in the regular season, had a much better bullpen than the Yankees, had a lineup that wasn't as much worse as the Yankees bullpen is compared to the Rays, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
Like the gap between the Yankees bullpen and the Rays bullpen is bigger than the gap between the Rays line. Bigger gap between the bullpens and the Yankees' advantage offensively. Mm-hmm. That said, the Rays didn't see the full strength Yankees lineup all season. Mm-hmm. And I think a healthy Yankees lineup is the best in baseball, all jokes aside.
I would agree with you.
You could absolutely make
it's a case. It's a huge if, because we've seen the last couple of seasons a lot of,
But as of right now, the Yankees lineup is fully healthy and clicking. Stanton's hitting home runs. Judge only had that one home run in the Indian series. We also watched the stats don't look there, but then also look what happened when Judge came up in the 7th and 9th innings. Cleveland wanted no part of him. Mm-hmm. Walked him on 4 pitches and 5 pitches. Like, did not want to throw him anything in the zone. Mm-hmm. That's the type of thing where it's like the numbers tell you one thing, but then like you actually watch a game and you're like, all right, well, clearly Cleveland wants no part of Aaron Judge in a tight situation.
I'm coming out with another fire analogy. It's like last night, Duncan Robinson not shooting his best, but the amount of attention he attracted inside the arc as well. I mean, he got the arc. They had to close out on him, and he's not a great playmaker, but he able to make the wide open pass. Continue.
Look, I picked the Rays to win this series in 5. Well, I don't think I said in 5. I think it will go 5. Mm. The Yankees are going to need a couple guys out of the bullpen to step up. Adam Ottavino was, I don't think, pitched in the month of September, or maybe pitched once in the month of September, is like entirely out of – I don't know if this is like – I think it's just a thing on like Yankees Twitter. The Boone Circle of Trust in the bullpen. Okay. It might just be like a specific Yankees Twitter thing. I don't know if that's something you've seen on the old TL, but Ottavino out of the circle of trust.
I haven't.
And it's like there aren't weird just like phrases you see on like Mets Twitter.
Yeah, fair, but like every manager just has like a circle of trust.
I mean, like it's like a like I'm getting into a specific like a trend on Yankees Twitter. Okay. Anyways, Ottavino's out of the circle of trust, like big time. There's like a graphic that goes with it. It's a Twitter thing. I don't know. It's a Twitter thing. You're telling me whatever.
Continue.
Out of the circle of trust. I think he like hasn't pitched in a like leverage index. Mm-hmm. He hasn't pitched in a leverage index higher than 2 in like almost a full year, for good reason. Like he's like a good like low leverage kind of like random middle innings guy. Adam Ottavino coming into a tight game makes me incredibly nervous.
Yeah, which is crazy because you think about the beginning of last season, right? Like, the Yankees probably got the best, one of the best relievers on the market.
Best reliever on the market. He was the best
nasty slider, like disgusting shutout pitcher, and he's just
some of the best pure stuff in the league. Yeah. Still, it's just you can't find the zone.
Yeah,
literally cannot find the zone. It's like if Ottavino goes back to where he was like his last season with the Rockies, that'd be huge. If I think honestly the key guy out of the bullpen for the Yankees is going to be Jordan Montgomery. Like I talked about with all these series, like your starters are going to need to go deep into games. You can't be.
Montgomery is a starter. He can need innings too.
But I'm saying in terms of like, let's say, I don't know. I assume the Yankees are going to go J Happ game 2, Tanaka game 3 is what it's looking like right now. If either one of those guys, if Garrett Cole gets lit up and he's out of the inning, if he's out of the game in 3 innings, the Yankees are done for the series. Like, if any of these guys get taken out early, you're going to need a guy like Jordan Montgomery to give you some real length out of the bullpen, 3-4 innings. Like you can't. The Yankees can't be going to Aroldis Chapman 4 straight games. You can't be going to Chad Green 4 straight games. Like
you don't want to get in an even bullpen battle with the Rays. And I say that because
what do you mean even?
I'm saying like if the Rays bullpen has to pitch 6 innings each game and the Yankees bullpen has to pitch 6 innings each game, like that's not something you want to get in. What I'm saying is the Yankees.
That's a disaster for both teams.
Disaster for both teams, but at that point, it just comes down to what bullpen do you trust more, and you trust the Rays bullpen more.
I believe third best ERA in the league this year.
Yankees have to start hot. They got to get the starting pitchers out for the Rays because someone like Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow, I don't think they've thrown more than 6 innings this season. Blake Snell certainly hasn't, as he's coming off an injury. Their bullpen has pitched more regular season innings than their starters.
Yeah.
They don't like keeping their starters in there. Now, how does that strategy change in a 5-series game with 5 straight games, right? 5-game series on 5 straight days. Sorry, I can't speak English.
It's just
interesting.
I just keep coming back. Like, I hate to make it about like the fact that it's 5 games in 5 days. It's just such a bad idea.
It's ridiculous, and it's going to be so hard for Boone and Cash to manage him.
For every manager in the postseason now. Like, what happens when you're in a game 5 and you're looking at your closer who's thrown like 100 pitches over the last 4 days? You're looking at your second best guy who's thrown like 107.
Yeah,
it's just going to be frustrating when some of these games get decided by like the back end of your bullpen. Well, not the back end, like the end of your bullpen, like your last guys you want to bring in.
Yeah, I mean, Cole's going to go game 1 and then probably game 4 again if it makes
probably
it
not.
That.
Cole doesn't pitch on short rest. Garrett Cole's
October.
Probably
you're going to have to. Like
Garrett Cole's probably not pitching again until game 5.
Well, that's when it gets interesting, especially game 1, which is obviously crucial for the Yankees. Yeah,
crucial for everyone.
Yeah, crucial for everyone. But the Yankees have by far the best starting pitcher in the series in Garrett Cole.
Best
second best pitcher in New York.
Best pitcher in the AL in the postseason now.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do if you're Aaron Boone and Garrett Cole gets chased in like 3 innings? Do you keep him in there to try to preserve your bullpen, or do you take him out and maybe if you didn't throw that many pitches, you have him go game 4 or game 5? It's a lot of give and take. There are going to be a lot of relievers on both sides that are pitching 3 straight games.
I saw the Yankees, and so the Yankees went 3 catchers in the ALDS in the wild card series. Mm-hmm. Now added an extra pitcher. They added Michael King, who's young. I think this is I think he pitched briefly for the Yankees last season, but like a prospect.
He got chased. No.
You're thinking of Clark Schmidt?
No. I'm thinking about a Michael K.
Michael King. Michael K is the broadcaster.
No, I know. There's also a baseball player on the Toronto Blue Jays with that name. I'm pretty sure. I thought it was King on the Yankees. I remember the Mets had chased someone. It was him instead. Continue with your point.
I completely got –
Continue.
Talking about a Mets Blue Jays series here.
Because I thought it was the same pitcher. That's why.
The Yankees are going to need their bullpen to pitch better than they did in the regular season, point blank. Mm-hmm. And they're going to need guys like Montgomery, like Michael King, like Chad Green to pitch. And Chad Green, I'm less worried about. They're going to need like the non-marquee guys to pitch much better than they have. Mm-hmm.
Anthony K is what I was thinking of.
Cool.
Just thought you'd be curious.
It's such a tight series, man. I said Rays in 5. Obviously, like I'm a Yankee fan. If you couldn't tell, this series is going to be chaos. It's just going to be like the death of me, the absolute death of me. Yeah. 5 straight games.
It is. It's going to be the death of you.
You guys are going to see me if the Yankees are still playing on Thursday. You're going to see me on this Thursday show. I'm just going to be like bags under my eyes, like beard all the way grown out, gray hair. It's going to be ugly. Dude,
that's in like 3 days. It's a little intense.
I mean, put yourself in my shoes.
Something low-key I didn't think about either. I was listening to The Fan yesterday. I had Ron Darling on as an interview. Like the Yankees and Rays are, play the majority of their games at 7. They're going to be playing at 3 or 4 p.m. in Petco Park. The sun is going to be in like a really weird spot. They were just talking a lot about how they're playing in fields that they're not, used to playing.
Outfielders aren't going to know how to play the wall, play the bounce.
Yeah, it's weird. Like there's no hope for a series like this. There's 0 home field advantage.
The only home field advantage you get is hitting second, literally.
Yeah, and some teams prefer to hit first. Like, there's really no advantage.
We got some guys in the comments right now. James Murphy, Jack Ham talking about the Bill O'Brien news. We touched on it real briefly at the top of the hour. We've got, frankly, too much other stuff that we've already got the rundown to get to right now. Thursday, we'll be talking plenty of Bill O'Brien.
But we did, regardless of if it was before he got fired. We started the show with NFL talk, and we both bashed Bill O'Brien for a good couple minutes, so make sure you check out the episode. when it's posted later, you can check out the Instagram. It's already up. And we talked about it at the top of this Instagram live. Let's move on to our second to last series, Dodgers-Padres. I still think the Dodgers.
I still think it's got to be the Dodgers. I think
Yeah.
The Padres are fun. They're exciting. They're like the sexy, trendy team.
Sexy.
What?
The sexy team.
The Dodgers are really fucking good,
team.
man.
That's probably, just a baseball perspective, taking away, what your favorite team is. Like, Padres are probably the favorite team.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
They're the fun, exciting, like up and coming team.
You see the rally they had when they got back, just people lining the streets.
See, I hated that. Hated that.
Yeah,
you won a divisional. You won the wild card round. Like, relax.
I hate it too.
Relax.
But you lose game one. You come back in an electric way against an established franchise like the Cardinals, regardless of what they were this year.
And they had like a victory rally after winning the first round. Come on,
dude. When's the last time the Padres won a playoff series?
I know, I get that. Like, I'm sure they're excited, but
I didn't mind it.
I was not a fan.
I think the Dodgers.
I would say act like you've been there before. I get that you've never been there before after the Padres, but like still.
Fuck that.
You won the first round. Like,
I mean, the Padres. It'd be something if like Tatis was like, "Come out to the streets, like let's party." Like they were just waiting for them there.
I get that. I don't know. It's just, but from the players, like obviously, I'm sure they were loving it, but it's like.
You
want to love you want to like give the fans what they want. You won the first round, guys. Like you're not even in the LCS. You're gonna have to be
locked in. You're gonna have to be locked in against a Dodgers team that looked good against the Brewers. Like
I just feel like it paints a message of like, oh my god, like we won the first. Like you're like going nuts after you won like the first round in a best of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like slow your roll a little bit. You got a lot of baseball left before you really want to start celebrating.
I think it's so interesting. The 3 series we've talked about for the Yankees-Rays one, it's how does the bullpen fare out and how long can the starting pitching go, right? Astros-A's, it's can the A's bats stay hot against subpar A's starting pitching, but really strong bullpen? Can the A's offense can do enough? For the Dodgers, I feel like it's their starting pitching against the Braves. Can they kind of tame their home run bats? And then can the Dodgers pick it up on offense? Can their best players play their best offense of the season?
The crazy thing about the Dodgers is like they're so deep. They're too deep at every position. And they can platoon however you want them to. Like, oh, excuse me. That was a weird hiccup. Oh, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
You ever get like a hiccup kind of like caught halfway?
Like,
like you literally, I'm like, am I about to throw up? Cool. What was I even saying? Dodgers, they're just deep.
Yeah.
It's like you almost want to say like Clayton Kershaw is going to be an X factor in the postseason, but it's like we kind of know what Clayton Kershaw does in the postseason.
That's why I hated that. That was what I hated the most about the Astros cheating was that Clayton Kershaw got chased, and I was like, well, they fucking knew what was coming. Like, we're both big Kershaw guys. Like, we're both big Kershaw guys, and like. That's why I would be okay with the Dodgers winning the World Series this year, because I want Clayton Kershaw to get.
I'm so shocked to hear those words come out of your mouth.
I'd be okay with the Dodgers?
Yeah, I feel like as a Mets fan, you probably hate the Dodgers.
Just because of Clayton Kershaw, like
not because of Chase Utley.
Okay, I hate Chase Utley, but I tie that. Still
you hated Chase Utley beforehand, yeah.
I still tie that to the Phillies. Like I hate him what he did on the Dodgers, but like
I guess it's just because I'm like my only like relationship with the Phillies is just beating them in the 2009 World Series. Like I don't think of Chase Utley as like
nothing.
Yeah,
I hate Chase Utley. Like I hate every member of that Phillies team.
As you should.
Yeah, no. I still have the Dodgers, and honestly, kind of comfortably. I didn't think I had doubts about the Padres making into the second round. I thought they would, but like I don't know. They have to hit a lot of home runs, and this is a really good pitching staff for the Dodgers.
But the Padres also, you can't discredit just the raw power that the Padres have in their lineup. I mean, Tatis is the type of guy, if he's hot, like it's tough to say one player in a postseason series can like carry your team. But we've seen Tatis be like an MVP type player. If he's hot, hitting like 350, 400 in the postseason, it's possible.
I mean, that's a lot to ask.
But I'm saying like that's the ask that the Padres have of him. Like they need him to be that good.
Yeah, like I think I saw this thing. It was like Will Myers, the first Padres hitter to hit 2 home runs in a game, and then that was broken later that game by Tatis.
Yeah.
I have Dodgers in 4, maybe 3.
I'll go Dodgers in 4. The fan in me says Dodgers in 4 because I don't want to see a sweep.
So we both have Rays in 5 and Dodgers in 4. This is unprecedented. We're actually agreeing on things.
Yeah, wow.
Marlins Braves. Hey, man.
How much to say? The Marlins don't lose postseason series. Marlins in 3.
No.
So.
Did you pick the Marlins over the Cubs, right?
Yes.
I thought I trusted the Cubs bats a little more. But, you know.
Look, I just love, like,
you're a central team.
I love the makeup of the Marlins. Like, just the grit and the resilience to stare COVID straight in the face.
Mattingly's got to win.
Coach of the year. Has to be. Right? Has to be.
I guess we just disregard the fact that he let his players, play with COVID.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Pretty rough, but managerial wise, like there's a team that had
strictly baseball wise, like I don't know how it could be.
I think they had 9 different starters start their first 9 games. Like there's no way he does.
Used more players than any other team in the league. Like
it's absurd. I really thought. Look,
that said, I also picked the Braves to win the World Series. So.
Yeah. I mean, the Braves showed what make them best. The offense came alive in the second game. In the first game, dominant starting pitching and bullpen.
Oh, and that's what you and I both said was that they didn't need their starting pitching to be like the strength of the team, but they just needed enough out of the start. They needed like non-disaster starts from their starters, and that's what they got.
I don't even know who the third starter is for the Braves, and that's
Freed, Kennedy.
That's where things get interesting. I don't know who starts their third game. I don't know if they've announced it yet.
I just look up NLDS schedule, spelled it SCHEUDLE.
Did you try to type without looking?
I was trying to type real quick and talk, and I also have like 1,500 tabs open.
Well, they have Wright as their game 3 starter. They have Anderson as the game 2 starter. Who he was fantastic in their second game too. But I don't know what the numbers are on Kyle Wright. Yeah,
I'm not seeing it.
Kyle Wright, a 2-4 record, 5.21 ERA, right? Kind of yikes. But the Marlins can't hit that well. They're the only team that have a negative run differential.
Well, the only way the Marlins are winning games is on the strength of their pitching and their defense.
Yeah, and they showed that in week 1.
That is kind of like the fun, like postseason team to pick. Yeah. If you're picking like an upset, a team to go deep, you're picking the team who's got like the deep rotation, the good defense.
Fins up, baby. Fins up. I don't know where a Marlin has. No, it's like the middle of their back, right?
Yeah. Also, are you just thinking about the Dolphins?
I'll say fins up to whatever like fish or aquatic team
is this guy
named after.
Who is this guy?
I don't know. Usually when I eat my tilapia at night, I'm like, fins up, baby.
I just hope you're all imagining Matias in his dining room, like by himself, just like.
Fins up, baby.
Fins up, man. Yeah.
After I just spent like a whole day, like went outside once, maybe twice. I'm just like, fins up, baby. Yeah.
Anything else? Is this show? Oh my God.
Anything else to add, baseball wise? Or are you ready to talk some finals?
2 things. One, just absolutely kills me that the Miami Marlins have never in their franchise history lost the postseason series.
Yeah, like you said, Marlins in 3.
That's absurd.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
The actual question, will there be a fight in any series in the LDS round?
Well, if I had to put matchups. Well, let me ask this right back to you. What's more likely to produce a fight? Is it A's Astros or Rays Yankees?
Rays Yankees. Obviously Rays Yankees.
I don't know, dude. Like
obviously,
they've both gotten into fights this year, but there have been.
But the Rays Yankees beef is more like current and more recent.
I don't know.
I think the Rays Yankees beef. The players are more like.
I seem to recall there being someone named Mike Fiers on the.
Mike Fiers isn't like a important piece. Like,
it doesn't matter, dude.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying you asked me what series I thought was more likely to produce a fight.
I would pick the A's Astros on.
I think you're big. The Yankees and the Rays are staying at the same hotel.
Yeah, I know, which is hilarious.
That's a fight, bro.
was it Diane Taurasi for the WNBA that was like, I'll see you in the lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's crazy. Like that, it's so funny because like now the MLB is finally in their bubble. And they're like, yeah, it's so weird. You strike someone out in a row and then you like stare them down. You almost get into a fight and then you see each other like in the hotels. Like, yeah, this has been going on in the NBA for a while. Like Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell in their first round, like when Donovan Mitchell dropped like 55 or whatever on Murray in the Nuggets. Like, yeah, I think there was the first game. Then like Jamal Murray went up to him like outside. They were drinking coffee or something. Like literally 20 minutes after they had left the arena, and it was like, this man just dropped 50 on my head, which is weird.
That's also kind of cool because like it's just like damn, like I got a
it could be cool
50 piece right on my dome.
We haven't seen any NBA series where it's like, yeah, I fucking hate you, which is interesting because it's more contact. But like
I really think I think we'll see a fight in the Yankees-Rays series.
I hope we do.
Look, which coach openly threatened to throw at another team?
Kevin Cash?
Yeah.
Rays? Or which coach, almost got into a fight with a player?
That's a good point.
He's Astros, right? Like, I think Ramon Laureano charged at a manager. Like,
I think the big difference is the Yankees-Rays beef is like a lot more personal. Like
that is true.
The players who are currently on the team playing, like important players as well. It's a more personal beef than the Mike Fiers beef. That's also from 3 years ago. Like, not that it's not still like kicking.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little more like ideological as opposed to like personal.
I also do think, siding on.
Can't spell schedule, but I can say ideological.
Okay. Can't spell schedule?
I literally just told you how I spelled schedule.
Oh, right. That's all right. I can't open doors. That's like my one character flaw is I can't open a door. I'm just really bad. I never know which way to turn.
One character flaw.
Yeah, only one. I'm perfect other than that.
Exactly.
I think and interesting too with the Yankees-Rays.
What?
I'm just bad at opening doors. Dude, I don't know why. I always forget which way I have to turn the key. I'm always just bad at locking doors. Like, dude, it's really
Are you
weird.
the one that broke the door at 313? Are you the reason why the door was broken?
I don't know who broke that door.
And it was probably all of us storming into the house at like 1 a.m. or off the hinges. That door.
I wonder why we only got like a third of our security deposit back.
Oh my God. I can't get into that again. Jesus.
I think before we move on to the NBA, like a thing about Yankees-Rays too is the fact that like, obviously, there's a lot of pressure on each of these teams to come out and perform, but like the Astros have won a World Series, right? They've been there before. The A's haven't made any noise recently. The Rays and Yankees have both made noise. They both have really high expectations, and frankly, neither of them have won anything significant in the last 10 years. Just thought I'd throw that out for you.
But,
yeah, but they both know.
Period.
Yeah. What?
The Rays literally haven't won shit.
Yeah, but they've been a very good team for the last 2 or 3 years, and this is the first year, or maybe last year a little bit, where you're like, shit, like the Rays are probably the best team in the AL East. Not last year, this year.
Absolutely not last year.
But they started kind of creeping up, and you're like, oh shit, the Rays are like legit.
It's like the thing you got to keep in mind too is like we only played 60 regular season games. Like as like as much as you and I are talking baseball right now, it's like I literally forget that like you still don't really know what to make of these teams. Like in a normal season, if we went through 60 games, let's say there was like a not exactly mid-season tournament, but let's say this postseason was like a mid-season MLB tournament after 60 games in a normal 162 game season. Every question would be like, well, we don't really know.
Made it.
Nationals would like you don't really know what you're getting out of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
Mets
wouldn't have made it. Of course, Mets didn't make the playoffs either. But...
Don't bring up the Mets. Come on.
No, because they were nice. They were nice in the second half last season. It's all right. Big Papa Cohen's gonna bring us all home.
Let's talk a little NBA Finals.
NBA Finals. Game 4.
As if we weren't going to do a full other hour. We were sitting there in the break and we were like, oh, let's do a 2020-10. Whoops.
I mean, I feel like if we really tried to, we wanted to. But, like, NBA Finals. Game 4 starts and ends with Jimmy Butler. I don't care how well the Heat played, how much they outplayed the Lakers. What?
Game 3?
Also game 3, yeah. Like, Jimmy Butler.
In the most recent game or the upcoming game?
Yeah, in the most recent game, game 3. Jimmy Butler, 40-point triple-double, 70% from the field. I think only 3 other people have done it in the finals. That's Charles Barkley, LeBron James, and someone else who's escaping me. And Wilt?
I believe so. Or no, I think we're mixing up. There was similar. I think I know what we're talking about. There were 2 stats I saw about like 40-point trip dubs in the finals versus 40-point trip dubs on 70% shooting regular season or finals.
Yeah.
I believe Wilt is like the only other guy to have a 40-point trip dub on 70% field goal shooting in the finals. Yes.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen that. It was absurd. Like
whatever the qualifiers in the historical context are.
Yeah.
The game of his life.
Absolutely. This is one of the best final performances I've ever seen.
Literally.
Like
he was the only player to ever out-rebound, outscore, and out-assist LeBron James in a finals game, including his teammates. Including LeBron's teammates.
Is that more impressive for LeBron or for Jimmy Butler?
I've seen a lot of things being like, who's that? Is that like more impressive for
LeBron? Goddamn.
Or more of like an indictment on LeBron's teammates. But
yeah. AD did not play well yesterday.
AD played like hot shit yesterday.
LeBron didn't either.
The crazy thing, all right, so you say LeBron didn't play well. Had like 25, 10, and 8.
Yeah,
and we're like, LeBron didn't have a great
I know. But he scored
I'm saying it's LeBron has set the bar so high for us.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you have? 8 turnovers? Like 8 turnovers.
And he forced him into 7 of those as the primary defender.
Yeah. But that's the thing is that Jimmy Butler
also tied for LeBron's career high in the finals for turnovers.
Uh-huh. Jimmy Butler did not just play offense. Like, not only did he defend the best player on the planet well, and like he played a fantastic team defense, and he was, anything that doesn't show up on the stat boards, like the hustle plays he probably made, like the leadership, because this is a team that needed it. Like, I don't care how experienced Eric Spoelstra is. Like, Bam and Dragic go down, like that is very easily for a team to fold. Like, you think about who else is there.
But also, like, if there's one team that's not going to fold, dude, it's these.
It's going to,
team.
But like, no Bam, no Goran. Like, Hero's 20 years old. Olynyk is like a glorified role player.
2 full years younger than both of us.
Myers Leonard hasn't started a game since the regular season. Kendrick Nunn is completely fallen out.
Although you're bashing Olynyk and Myers Leonard, they were huge last game.
No, I know, but I'm giving them more credit. I'm saying before this game, you're like, like you have to rely on them. Like, we're screwed. And like, give credit to Jimmy Butler and give credit to them because they both played really well. And this was, I made this analogy earlier in the show.
I can't wait for this one. Oh boy.
No, it was the whole not being able to prepare for an opponent, right? Like you talked about it with the Panthers, right? No Christian McCaffrey. Obviously they are not better without Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Like, Miami Heat absolutely are not better without Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo. And let me just say too, both of them are speaking to the media tomorrow. Dragic is still doubtful. Bam is now day-to-day. Which means he'll probably play.
And the question that I've been kind of debating with myself is like, so at what point, like what percentage of healthy Bam is enough for him to be on the floor where it's like worth it? If Bam like can't move well, if he's only like 50%, do you want to play? Like, is he worth playing?
I think if he feels you trust him and if he feels like he can make a contribution, then probably.
It's just like we don't. And the frustrating thing as a fan, but also kind of like the understandable thing is that we don't really know it's a neck issue. Like we don't know how that's impacting him. Like Dragic,
I don't think.
I can't imagine Dragic plays. He's got a torn muscle in his foot. Like he can't play.
Yeah. The plantar fasciitis is like weird because there are people that have returned in like a week and they can play through the pain. And like, I feel so bad for Dragic too. Like, even former All-Star.
Did
like,
you see his like Zoom interview? Dude looked like he was about to start crying.
Yeah.
Like,
well, dude, I mean, you're not in the rotation for the whole season. You lose it to a rookie, and although you were a very important piece off the bench, like you're a bench piece for a 5 seed. It's not like you were absolutely critical on a championship team.
Great piece. Like a guy.
And then he comes out. He's a contract year. He's getting older. He balls out in the playoffs. Like he's like, yo, we can beat LeBron James and Anthony Davis and the Lakers. And then he's like, in the Zoom call, he was like, why God? Like, why
literally,
now?
Yeah.
Like, that's terrible, dude. Like, that's brutal. I feel
it's
so
just
bad.
Frustrating as a
Also,
fan too.
Former Spur Goran Dragic. The Spurs drafted him. He like basically never played for them.
Yeah, I was gonna say like he's played for a bunch of teams.
Little known fact. Was
it like a draft day trade?
Spurs trade, I think so, or he was there with them for like a year.
Huh.
Spurs tree, baby.
Cool.
But wrapping up, just before we get into whatever point you wanted to make, like for the Christian McCaffrey, not better without your best player type thing. Like obviously the Heat are not better without Bam and without Dragic. But think about how different this team is, right? They have to insert Myers Leonard. They have to play a little bigger. And then you have a stretch 4 or a stretch 5.
He's like bigger, but also Leonard and Olynyk can both shoot, no problem.
Yeah. Well, that's why it looks so much different.
At that point, Jimmy Butler's your only non-shooter on the floor.
Yeah. And like Jimmy Butler is best when he's surrounded by 4 shooters, because we saw yesterday he's such a good facilitator, and he is a little passive sometimes in terms of not trying to draw contact, which seems absurd.
What?
No,
whoa.
He's usually pass first, is what I'm saying. If he has an opening, he's going to
first. But to call him passive in terms of getting to the rim, drawing contact,
I didn't call him passive.
False.
I said he can be passive, which is absurd considering he went to the line like an average of 9 times.
In the post, he's averaging like 9.7 free throws a game in the postseason.
And I think that's very similar to what he averaged in the regular season. Went to the stripe 14 times. He's aggressive, but he's going to look to make that pass too. He's a capable facilitator, and he's not going to let up on that. And we saw that in the last couple of games.
We're nitpicking a dude who just went for 40, 11, and 13 in the NBA Finals against LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
But that's what he had to do. But he
has to do it 3 more times, which is the crazy thing.
Yeah, but like you don't expect someone like Jimmy Butler, like if you don't look at his stats, you don't expect him to come up with 13 assists. And not like he's going to do that every game, but he is a good facilitator. You stretch out the 4 for someone that is a non-shooter.
This is a while ago, but you remember when he was coming up with Chicago, he was more of like a 1/2 than the 2-3 he is now.
Yeah,
like it's in his nature to be a facilitator. It's not like you like trying to force him into a role which he's never been before. It's just as he developed in his career, he became more of like a guard/wing than like a combo guard. And it's semantics, but like just the way he's been played, it's different than when he was playing in Chicago.
Just some more absurd stats. There's a stat called game score, which calculates like how much you were responsible and like how much you impacted the team. He had a game score of 42. If you don't know what to do with that number, that is the second highest in finals history, behind LeBron James' game 6 in the 2016 finals, which was 42.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's also responsible for 73 points, which was the second most in finals history. It was the first 40-point game without a 3-pointer since Shaq in 2002, which might as well have been like
crazy.
The 1800s, given how far the NBA has advanced since then. And seriously, like, no disrespect to Shaq. Shaq is like, not even arguably, definitely one of my top 5 favorite players of all time. Like stats
probably the most dominant player in NBA history.
No.
Who?
Wilt.
Ugh. You want to talk about playing in the Stone Age?
You talk about dominant.
Ugh. You got to start talk about like level of competition and.
You said dominant.
Whatever.
Not even
absurd. Just ballsy performance, gutsy performance from Jimmy. Like, did what he had to do, saved the season for his team, and like, Bam comes back and is like somewhat, at 50% or maybe.
It's the type of thing that we'll never know. We're not gonna know like how. We're not gonna know like what. And it's just like a weird kind of. I don't know the exact way to like frame it, but like percent of themselves, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Like we won't know. He's either playing or he's not.
This is a series again, though.
Yeah, it's like it's so dumb, but it's like 2-1 is a lot fucking different than 3-0.
Yeah.
Like
3-0, it's done. Even 2-0, it was looking like it was done, right? The Lakers dominated. Like
2-0 without Bam and Goran, like series over.
Yeah, since the Heat were up 13 in the first quarter of the first game, we were like, this is all Lakers. And like, no question about it.
The first quarter of this Heat game, like the Heat came out real strong, but then it's like, I think either end of the first or early in the second, the Lakers got it back down to like 4 or 5. And it's like, okay, the Heat came out hot. They came out with like underdog.
Like the third quarter, they got it down to 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there were 3 or 4 different times where like the Heat opened up a double-digit lead, then the Lakers came back quick, and it was like, okay, it's a game again. Like, close game into the 4th, I got the Lakers here.
Yeah.
What is Strat saying in the chat? Come on, kid.
I don't know. And then, like, then the Heat just pulled away. I mean, right? The Heat have been a much better fourth quarter team than the Lakers have all postseason long. Not talking about the first two games because they were blowouts.
Yeah.
But like, the Heat came out hungry and they did what they had to do. I don't know, it's super cliche, but they played harder than the Lakers, and their game plan to disrupt AD was perfect. I saw a lot of scouting and like what to do against AD is if you're gonna have to switch it and you have. You got to send someone baseline to double him. That's where he gets the most uncomfortable. And if
Anthony Davis's passing has improved a lot in the last season and a half with the Lakers, but like it's still not a strong point in his game. Like I call Anthony Davis like a willing passer. Like he knows the right pass to make. I wouldn't call him a good passer or like a smart passer necessarily.
I mean, we both
obviously we also have to bring up the fact that he had 2 quick fouls in the first quarter, which is obviously a game changer. He had 4 fouls like in
but they were like stupid fouls. Like they got him uncomfortable and like they were disrupting him. They were frustrating him because in the first 7 minutes he had like 4 turnovers and like hadn't shot yet. It's just like it was crazy.
If you could dream up a script for the Heat to have won a game in the series, it was exactly this. It was exactly this type of game.
And like not rocket science, but something we talked about before the series was you pack the paint against LeBron and don't overcommit on your rotation so he can't pick you apart. And you got to try to live with either Bam or Jay Crowder on AD and then send the double baseline, and that's what's going to disrupt them because that's what he's first. And you make everyone else beat you. And the Lakers couldn't get that. And, like, Markieff played well yesterday, but they just fell apart towards the end, and the Heat just took this game.
I think I don't think Lakers fans should have any real reason to be concerned. Like, there's no way the Heat should win this series, even with a help. Like,
I disagree. I wouldn't.
What would you be concerned about?
I wouldn't say there's no reason to be concerned, but I'd say, like, you got to come out. If this series becomes 2-2, like – you're in
series 2-2. You've got a lot of reasons to be concerned. Like,
well, I know, but I'm saying, like,
I think if you're a Lakers fan, you chalk this up to like literally a disaster scenario, like the worst game you could have played. There's no way you think Anthony Davis has another 9 field goal attempt game in Game 4.
No, but the Heat did enough that disrupted them. Right, they did enough in their 2-3 and 3-2 zone to disrupt the Lakers, and like that is stuff that you can replicate. And with so much uncertainty in who's going to play for Miami, like, Frank Vogel has adjusted well game to game in the playoffs, but the in-game adjustments, obviously.
Which obviously are the tougher adjustments to do properly.
Obviously. Like he had the same adjustments in this game and didn't really adjust in-game to what Miami was doing, and it kind of hurt him. Like the Lakers need to make adjustments for Game 3, and that's crazy to say after you lose a finals game, but like, the Heat played better than them, and like the Lakers showed some signs, but they played really sloppy. And
I know
there were worrisome signs in there.
I know you've been like the president of the Dwight Howard fan club in the series.
If the Lakers,
in the series, honestly, since the conference finals too. But if the Heat keep going with Leonard and Olynyk, 2 5s who can shoot, how do you continue to play Dwight Howard?
Well, you have to reconsider. You can't play him as much. The Lakers went into a zone at some point, a 3-2 zone that honestly kind of worked well for them, which is that zone helps you if you have shooting out there and you have enough to protect the paint. The Heat are best when they get into the middle of the paint and they kick out.
So is everyone in the NBA.
Yes, fair, but that's where their bread and butter is, right? As we said the same thing about the Celtics, like Jimmy, they're best when
I feel like that's I feel like that's the type of thing. It's like, the Heat are great with, the Heat are best when they get open threes. Like, so are the fucking Knicks.
I didn't say when they get open threes. I'm saying when they can.
Yeah, obviously when you get to the middle of the court and you can kick to open shooters, that's when you play your best basketball. Like what are you trying to say here?
Well, I'm trying to say that like their best offense was a Dragic and Bam pick and roll, where you have a good passer like Bam that can pick apart a defense and find the open threes, and you have one of the best. I think they were the best 3-point shooting team in the league, even though Colin Coward, like the whole series, he was just the whole season. He was just like, the Heat suck. They can't shoot from 3, and everyone was like, bro.
Colin Coward's a clown.
Yeah. But like they're best when they can, get into the middle of the zone, and Bam Adebayo is a great passer, can find the open shooters.
Yeah.
They have Duncan Robinson just fucking running around like a madman. Like Jimmy Butler gets into the middle of the zone and like he draws fouls and he gets players in in trouble, and he can pick apart those passes in the corners. Like that's where they're best is what I'm saying. And like a bigger front line for the Lakers and going 3-2 could benefit them.
The stat I found also from the Ringer.
Yep.
In the series, 80's net rating in 47 minutes with Dwight Howard. Again, 47 minutes, small sample size, minus 14.8.
Yeah.
64 minutes without him, he's a plus 11.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you can look at those numbers and continue to play Dwight Howard meaningful minutes.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm curious to see what Frank Vogel does adjusting for Game 4, especially if Bam can play. You're a little more prepared against Olynyk. You had that one game where he struggled and the Lakers blew him out.
And I think another slightly concerning point for the Lakers, and I still don't think they have any real reason to be concerned. You got 19 each from Markieff Morris and Kuzma, and you still couldn't win this game. Like we made so much noise about how the fact that the Lakers bench, basically the Lakers outside of LeBron and AD, are a mess.
Mm-hmm. Like
you got meaningful contributions off the bench and still couldn't win this game.
Yeah, I mean the big thing for them is that like Markieff Morris shot 5-11 from 3. Like he's probably one of their best 3-point shooters. Like he's good from straight away too. I don't know what the number was, but that's a sweet spot. Like Kuzma went 4 of 8, which is good, but you probably don't want Kuzma shooting 8 3-pointers. But like the important pieces for them were those backcourt pieces. Well, that's what I'm going to say is they're the backcourt pieces that can play defense against the smaller guards for the Heat. And someone like Danny Green or KCP, they have at least enough size that they should theoretically be able to bother Jimmy Butler. I mean, KCP has been barbecue chicken against Jimmy Butler, which is more an indictment on Jimmy Butler. But KCP hasn't played well. He shot like 1 of 10 from 3, either last game 2 or game 1. Like Danny Green has completely disappeared. He went 0 for 6 this game.
Completely disappeared as if that's what Danny Green does. Right.
But Danny Green had been shooting well in spurts. We saw game 1 he shot well, and
But at this point, you know how maddeningly inconsistent Danny Green can be. Like you're not. If the Lakers need Danny Green to be consistent, they're in a really bad spot.
Yeah, but they need their third best player, which at this point we've agreed is just the collective unit, to show up. And their starters haven't. Kuzma and Markieff Morris don't add the same that KCP and Danny Green can. Danny Green's not creating any offense, but
we're also talking about 2 forwards and 2 guards. Like
and KCP can attack off the
as positionless as basketball is. Like Kyle Kuzma and Markieff Morris play a different position than KCP and Danny Green.
The strength of this Lakers team is LeBron and it's AD, 2 forwards / centers, right? If you want 2 bench pieces or 2 second string players to pick it up, you'd rather them be guards like Caruso or Danny Green or KCP.
All right, we got a couple minutes to go here. We actually have some mailbag, which is exciting. Got a couple. Mailbag.
No surprise because you posted it. It's baffling. I don't know what the hell's going on. Makes me
last point on the series. How do the Heat make it 2-2? How do the Heat stay competitive in the series?
Jimmy Butler has to play like this alpha dog again. It's very clear that this is what they require. Ideally, you get one of Bam or Dragic back. They continue to pack the paint. They continue to stretch out the Lakers' defense, make them uncomfortable, force live ball turnovers. And they need better play from Duncan Robinson. Like, they got to shoot lights out. They have to play near perfect to outplay the Lakers. Continue packing the paint. Continue making AD uncomfortable. Easier said than done.
Much easier said than done. I really think I don't have a whole lot to add there. Jimmy Butler needs to keep playing like this. He needs to have, literally, the stretch of his career.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
It's a make or break.
Yeah.
This is legacy defining.
He needs to go 06 Wade, take over the series.
Yeah, and I love, too, before we move on to the mailbag, I love that D. Wade and Jimmy Butler have such a good relationship. D. Wade went to Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra before the season. They're like, this is your guy. This is the guy that's capable of winning these games, and, we have to go get him.
That
and he is.
Weight. That.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade is the face of the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
He's probably not the best player to ever play for the Heat because he played with this guy, LeBron. That's some guy. I don't know. number 6, I think.
I wonder, but Heat fans have to love D Wade.
No, D Wade is like the face of the Heat. He's the best player.
He is the Heat. Yeah,
he's the Heat GOAT. Like it's semantics, but like he's the Miami Heat.
He's the Heat GOAT, the Heat of all time. Mailbag time.
Okay, Rob Parker.
I'll take that.
I mean, yeah, it was more a dig at you than a dig at Rob.
Yeah, I'll take that. Friend of the pod, Rob.
Dude, Rob's acronyms kill me. Oh my god,
so funny. Well, this was interesting. I don't know if you saw his tweet. It was like stat patters, like Matthew Stafford, maybe Dak Prescott now, which is not really his fault. No, but first question for you, Ben. Yankees Rays, they go in multiple extra inning games.
Yes. Oh yeah.
You better hope they don't, but
I mean they would. Yeah, even if it's 5-9 inning games, I'm still going to be a shell of a human being at the end of this week.
I think this is going to be a fantastic series. I can't wait. Easily the best series.
Yeah.
Next one is a question
for you from a Patriots fan. Is
Tom Brady washed?
After Chris isn't watching. Chris, why did you submit this after a 370-yard 5-touchdown performance?
If you're asking me if Tom Brady is washed after he just threw for over 350 yards, led a double-digit comeback against a Chargers team that I can't tell if they're good or not, but their defense is solid.
The defense is good. We know that.
Threw 5 touchdowns, no interception. 5 touchdowns, a pick six. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Did not get sacked, which is huge for him. No, I don't think he's a bust. I don't think he's washed.
Brady's a bust. Matias said it, not me. Tom Brady's a bust.
However, I don't think he's capable of winning games just on his arm alone, which is stupid to say after he just threw for 369 yards. Nice. But they have to play this well.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's washed. I don't know why they were asking me that after a 5-touchdown game.
I didn't submit the question.
Next one for you. Are the Browns real, and how big of a loss is Chubb?
I mean, I don't know how you define real. Do I think they're a playoff team?
Make of it what you will. Questions for you.
Browns are okay. The Browns are real in the sense that they're like a competent football team, which is more than we could have said about the Browns at any time in the last 5 years.
This is true.
I think they've got a clear game plan. Just generally how they're going to win games. Offensive line is playing great. Run the ball, get Baker going with the play action passes, get Odell more involved. It's so simple. It's like using Odell Beckham as a decoy is just such a waste. Yeah. That's what he was that was part of why he was frustrated. Actually, as much as I think Odell is kind of a baby who complains a lot. Mm-hmm. I'd be frustrated too if I knew I was one of the best receivers in the NFL and on half my routes I'm just taking off downfield to clear out space.
Yeah,
find someone else to do that.
What a concept that they can use him on jet sweeps and you get him in space and let him run. The play calling for him. Yeah, the play calling for him last year was so shitty. No pun intended. Yeah, actually, pun intended. That's the only reason I wanted to say that. But nice. You got your Odell game. This is what you brought him in to do. I think the Browns with an asterisk and hold your horses are real. I think
real in the sense of what we said earlier. Can they beat bad teams? Yes, they can. They can also beat the Cowboys, who are the best 1-3 team in the league.
Yeah, they're showing that they can maybe beat mediocre teams, but they're still very much out of the top tier.
The second part of that question is how much of a loss is Nick Chubb? It's a loss. I think the Browns showed that they've got the personnel to make up for it. D'Ernest Johnson, bro, he really earned his spot in the rotation, in the running back rotation. I got plenty more where those came from.
Oh, God. I think we should end the show before we get to that. So we said we were going to do an hour and a half show. We ended up doing about an hour 50.
It's going to be fun to edit later.
Ben, fantastic episode. A pleasure as always.
Wow. Davey Garcia's pitching game 2.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
How do you feel about that?
Nervous.
You said you would rather J Happ pitch
First
and you
postseason start.
Ready.
First postseason start for Davey Garcia, game 2 against the Rays tomorrow night.
Wow, oh, man. Wow, this game just became a little more must-win, huh?
I mean,
it's already started. You were just your skin is just ripping off.
Yeah, bro. This is going to be nerve-wracking. It's going to be a nerve-wracking week. Anyone listening, if you have any, good beer suggestions, please send them my way.
Oh, I have a bunch for you. Don't worry about that.
I know all your beer suggestions. I also don't need to ask you specifically for beer suggestions.
Keystone Light, bro.
This is a Natural Light household. You should know that.
Oh, is it? Oh, you live with Jake Smith.
Yeah, it's sponsored.
There's no shot. We'll be back on Thursday, time TBD, probably at 4.
Probably around the same time, yeah.
Between 1 and 4. Stay tuned on our Twitter and Instagram. We'll announce it. If you're listening to us on Instagram, thank you. Check out our Spotify, our Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Run up the views or the listens just so it looks better for us. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, rate us. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like.
Let us know what you don't like, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we'll take some constructive criticism. You can always join the conversation through our.
Yeah, we're off the air, right? Do they think do they think we're going to take constructive criticism?
No, we're not off the air, Ben. I'm so sorry to tell you.
Oh my God.
Let us know what you think. Join the conversation. Join the conversation on our social media at 2 Floor Sports on Twitter, at Second Floor Sports on Instagram. Leave us some comments under YouTube what you want us to talk about, and of course, submit your mailbag questions. Ben,
only submit them to me, though.
Yeah, no, never to me. He's Ben Carlton. I'm Matias Weilmann. Go enjoy your Monday Night Football doubleheader and some playoff baseball. We will talk to you on Thursday.